This is Johnny and Jose with Tiger Bomb MMA, and we've got a recap of UFC 257. Fights took place last night on Saturday in Abu Dhabi. And just to start off, our flyweight fight, the opener, Amir Albazi versus Zaga Zumagulov. A good enough fight. I honestly thought Zumagulov had a bit more that he would pressure, which he did in the first round, but I guess Amir Albazi proved me wrong. He was able to actually pressure Zalgas and just edge out the decision.
I agree. Don't really have much to add there. Wasn't really a fireworks fight like I thought it was going to be, but Albazi did enough, and I think he'll have some more success in his upcoming fights if he keeps up, if he keeps improving. That is.
Next fight, a catchweight, Molsvar Evloev versus Nick Lenz. Molsvar really proved why he is the guy in that division. Really, he's up and coming. He retired Nick Lenz. Unfortunately, Nick Lenz has eye issues, so I think that's the reason why he retired. Split decision was surprising. I didn't think it was a split decision. For sure, 29-28 easy for Evloev, but we saw what Nick Lenz still has. He has that really good guillotine. I would say a majority of people would have tapped out to it, but Evloev is mentally tough. He is something else, man. So I'm looking forward to seeing his next matchup. And yeah, he's a star.
I think he's going to gain popularity. I don't think he's a star just yet. I think he's a star in the making. But I think he does definitely need to, as good as his ground game is, I think he needs to work on his actual grappling versus his wrestling. I'm not sure, how much of that translates into sambo or, wherever else the Russians train in. But I do think he has a very, very bright future. Look forward to his next fight, and I am not betting against him.
Next up at light heavyweight, Marcin Prachnio versus Khalil Roundtree. Keep seeing a lot of people online and even on Twitter saying that Khalil easily won that fight. I bet on Khalil, and that dude did not win that fight. I can see the argument, but when it comes down to it, Marcin, they were 1-1 overall with that fight. Marcin clearly won round 3. Khalil clearly won round 2. Depending on how you value things in that first round, Prachnio landed more, but Roundtree landed less, but more significant strikes. It's really a toss-up. I was really disappointed that Roundtree really didn't pull the trigger. Prachnio, in my opinion, he did enough. I'm not upset at that decision. It is what it is. Prachnio gets another fight. But yeah, I was really surprised he wasn't knocked out in that first round. But that's more to say about Khalil not being, I guess he's having the Uriah Hall effect where he just isn't using his overall skills. But got nothing much more to say about that.
I'm extremely disappointed in Khalil Roundtree. I can't even pronounce his name. He doesn't deserve for me to pronounce his name correctly after last night's performance. I'm not looking forward to his next fight. I'm not going to bet on him. After this, what I think is a disgrace of a fight, because he should have won this fight easily. I spit on his name.
Speaking of spitting, we've got the next fight, women's bantamweight. Juliana Pena defeats Sarah McMahon via submission. I can't say that I didn't see this one coming. Sarah McMahon is an interesting case, really. She dominates the first round, and then she just progressively loses confidence in herself, and she gets beat by tougher fighters. Juliana Pena, didn't expect her to win via submission, but again, it's not surprising because Sarah McMahon does tend to choke quite a bit. Yeah, I wasn't impressed by Juliana that much. Frankly, her takedown defense is horrendous. It was a disgraceful performance from Sarah. She practically gave up in the second round. So good props to Juliana for breaking her, but hopefully Sarah retires, because at 40 years old and having performances like that, I don't see where she goes in that division.
Not really high on either Pena or McMahon. I thought this was a garbage fight. She happened to just get the submission. Here it was dumb luck, if anything, and it was kind of stupid for her to call out what's her name?
Amanda
champ. Yeah, Amanda Nunes. That's ridiculous. Juliana Pena is pretty much the only one high on Juliana Pena. No one else really gives a shit. Nobody wants to see her. Nobody. I think people would pay not to see that fight. Juliana Pena versus Amanda, since Amanda has decimated the women's division. I don't really. If they gave her the title shot, anyway, enough talking. This fight was garbage.
You know what?
I'm not looking.
I would pay to see it. I would pay to see Amanda knock out Juliana Pena in the first round. I'd be happy to pay $60 for that.
No, I think it's 75 now, man.
I'll pay it as long as I see Juliana knocked out. She owes
Yeah,
me.
I
I want
spent
my
way more
blood.
time on garbage, on a garbage fight. I'm not looking forward to her next garbage fight or McMahon. I think McMahon should get cut. She's also garbage for letting herself get submitted. Let's move on, man.
Brad Tavares versus Antonio Shoeface Carlos Jr. Brad Tavares
Yes.
looked really good. His hips with those takedown defenses were amazing. He still can't knock out a fly, but damn, he looked good. He looked rejuvenated. Shoeface, one trick pony. He's a good pony when it comes to that one trick, but if he can't take it to the ground, he is just a punching bag. But yeah, props to Tavares. He looked good. We'll see where he goes next in middleweight, but I was glad to see him back and getting a win.
Yeah, his performance was okay. I think Brad, hips don't lie. Tavares next needs to fight a striker to, up his for his stock to go up a little bit. I don't think he should. If they give him another grappler, it's going to be kind of another, more of the same. I think he should get matched up against a striker so as to maybe make an exciting fight for him. I don't think he'll be able to knock anybody out. Least of all if his opponent's nickname is the Fly. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Next up, catchweight Armin Sarukian versus Matt Frivola. Easy win for Sarukian. He, I like that he won, but I wasn't as impressed. I thought he would strike a bit more, but then again, why would you strike when it comes to Matt Frivola? Frivola showed us he's a scrappy dude. He would have made an interesting fight between him and Ottman. Too bad that asshole got cut for being an idiot, but no, Armin did what Armin does. He used his grappling. He was an effective grappler. I think he called someone out in the top 15, so we'll see if they give him that. But yeah, he's a prospect to watch in that division.
Yeah, this was an okay fight. I expected Matt to steamroll a bit more, but he didn't. Sorokin is okay. I think he definitely needs to work on his overall game, unless he wants to get caught, unless he wants to get exposed. Like what's the other Armenian fighter's name? Shabazian.
Shabazian, yep.
Yeah, we don't want another Shabazian on our hands.
And the one we've been wanting to talk about, Marina Rodriguez versus Amanda Hebas. Boy, oh
yes.
boy, Amanda Hebas. I don't know what to say. It was not unexpected, really. Marina Rodriguez, despite her takedown deficiency, she can crack people. This might be, I don't know. This is a highlight for her reel for sure, because most of her highlights show her on her back and getting dominated. But no, this was ridiculous. Amanda Hebas, that train has been derailed. Unfortunately, I still like Amanda, right? Even though she made a mistake in that fight and not taking it to the ground. I guess her and her dad were talking about how she was competent as a striker, but I don't know. When you're fighting people like underdeveloped, just had a pregnancy, um, Mackenzie Dern, yeah, you look amazing on the feet. But when it comes to an actual Muay Thai practitioner in Rodriguez, you've got a lot to learn before you start playing that game. Good for Amanda, or not Amanda, but Mariana. We'll see where she goes here. I would hope they don't give her another wrestler because fade her all day. As for Amanda Hebas, I don't know. I don't know where she goes from here. She is kind of stuck in a limbo spot where she's too big of a name to be given a lower class opponent. They might potentially just give her a, I don't know, Brianna Van Buren to see. That'll be an interesting matchup. But yeah, I'll let you take over. I know you've been wanting to talk about this.
I'm not going to say too much. Just my overall disappointment in Amanda Ribas. I'm calling her Ribas from now on. She's hasn't earned the right to be called Hebas. I don't care what anybody says. She's around Amanda Instagram Rebus to me. Extremely disappointed. I expect her to use her ground skills all 3 rounds to dominate Marina Rodriguez, but she thought she was a lot tougher than she really is, and wanted to go toe to toe with Rodriguez, um, who has that muscular, uh, muscular Muay Thai back. I don't know, like that almost hunch, almost Muay
Oh,
Thai, almost
the
Muay Thai hump.
Musasi hump.
Yeah, yeah, that she has that Muay Thai hump, which indicates a lot of upper body power. So her punches pack a punch. I don't know how else to put that. She has dynamite in her. Either she has dynamite in her hands, or Amanda Ribas has a glass chin, or it might be both. I don't know. Extremely disappointed. Lost my parlay. And Ribas should have known better. Should have just seen her spending more time on Instagram than polishing her game. But you live and learn.
Yep, I think she'll be back for sure, but no, she needs to work on that chin defense ASAP.
Yeah, she'll be
Um,
back. I think she has more fights on her contract in the UFC. UFC is still hoping to cash in on her and make her the next cute sensation. Like they tried to do with Paige Van Zandt, but Paige Van Zandt decided to go full time on Instagram, and looks like she's headed down that road.
all right, next up at middleweight, Mahmoud Muradov defeated Andrew Sanchez. Not much to really say about that. Andrew Sanchez didn't implement his wrestling enough, if at all, really. He gets one knockout and he thinks he's a striker going up against a guy that's signed a money team. Muradov got the knockout. He made him do the Kevin Lee chicken dance, which was fun to see. But yeah, he did what he was supposed to do. He looked good out there. He went all 3 rounds, finally got the knockout. I am looking to see him go up against an actual wrestler to see how well he does. He's fought a couple wrestlers before, but they've never really shot on him too much. So yeah, we'll see where he goes from here. Perhaps he has a fight with Brad Tavares. As you mentioned, you wanted to see Brad fight a striker to see if Brad still got it, or if Muradov is just fighting dudes that fit him stylistically. Andrew Sanchez, man, I hate to see that when a wrestler just abandons his wrestling and starts striking.
Yeah, I'm pretty high on Muradov. I should have bet the house on Muradov instead of bothering with women's MMA, which again, I had to go there. I had to just tempt fate, and well, I brought that on myself. Muradov's the real deal. Sanchez, he's maybe going to be a gatekeeper at best, but Muradov is definitely on his way up. I don't know if whoever he gets next, they better be on their toes, because this guy, um, he's got several people's front teeth on his waiting list. I don't know. I guess we can skip the next fight and just go straight to Chandler. But if you want
Well, we'll
to,
talk about it. We'll talk about it. Next up was a fight between Donald Cerrone and Eddie Alvarez. At least that's what it looked like between Joanne Calderwood and Jessica Ai. Really, I was surprised Calderwood picked up the win. I actually thought Jessica Ai was going to out grapple her, but Calderwood did well in the Muay Thai clinch. Really battered the body with knees and elbows. And Jessica Ai, she tried at least to attack the body, but she couldn't slow down Calderwood. Maybe this new Calderwood is, I wouldn't say championship material, at least, you know, potentially getting her title shot back. So we'll see her. I don't know how to put it, but it's like seeing a small woman trying to fight, like Gabby Garcia, for example. Anytime you see Gabby Garcia fight in Japan, it's like a small little woman fighting a giant woman. That's how I'm going to see the fight between Joanne Calderwood and Valentina Shevchenko. So it'll be cute to see Joanne try her little Muay Thai tricks on Valentina, but Valentina's going to dominate if they even give her the title shot, which I'm thinking they are, because why the hell not? There's no one else. Not much to say. Jessica Ai, allegedly she had a gallbladder removed, so she's supposed to be the better version of herself, but she looked like complete ass. So that's enough for me. What do you got?
I spit on this fight and all the fighters that were part of this. I dislike JoJo for reasons previously mentioned. I dislike Ai. She brings really nothing to the table. Throughout her career, she's never really bothered improving. She's just, every time She goes into the octagon. She just looks like she's in a sparring match in practice. She's never really bothered working on her wrestling, on her grappling, actually improving her striking because her striking is ass. She's never really bothered, refining her kicks. If boxing is the way she was going to go, she could have at least bothered, learning how to keep her hands up. Don't even get me started on JoJo. I could go on for another half an hour. So I just spit on this fight and let's move on.
Co-main event, Michael Chandler defeated Dan Hooker in the first round. I didn't see that coming. I knew deep down Chandler was more than likely going to win, but I thought he would use his wrestling more. I liked what I saw, and I got to say, at least I predicted something right with that fight, is that whoever dictated the pace when it came to their techniques, Michael Chandler attacking the body and Dan Hooker attacking the leg. I didn't see that from Dan Hooker very much. He attempted it a couple times. He landed a really good one on Michael Chandler, but I think Chandler started reaching for it. I don't know what the hell was going on with Dan Hooker. I don't know if he was afraid of getting taken down. I really don't know because he didn't fight like himself, and Chandler just capitalized. He kept ducking his head, and I kept like closing my eyes, almost like, oh crap, here comes the knee up the middle. But no, I was like, shit, what the hell's going on? Like, my Dan Hooker's not really looking so hot. What's the deal? And then Michael Chandler clips him and then just blasts him on the ground with ground and pound, and that was it. I don't know if Dan Hooker retired. I don't know what to say. I'm still kind of baffled by that entire fight. Like, either Dan Hooker looked really bad or Michael Chandler made Dan Hooker look bad. So it could be either or. I'm really high on Chandler. I know Dustin mentioned he doesn't want to fight him for God knows what reason. I think he just feels superior because he's beaten dudes. He's beaten Hooker. But no, I think that is the fight to make, Chandler versus Poirier for the title. Dan Hooker, hopefully he's not retired. Hopefully he can get over what he's feeling right now. I know taking a loss by punches to a guy that you might consider to be a lesser fighter than you because he's from the quote unquote B leagues might be tough, but I don't know. There's no shame in losing to Michael Chandler. He is an elite fighter.
Well, I think there is shame, and Hooker's definitely feeling it. I think Hooker, after watching UFC Countdown and Embedded, Hooker had the Dominic Reyes effect going on, not just all week, but I think all maybe since his fight was announced or he knew that he was fighting Chandler. He thought he thought this was going to be a walk in the park because he went toe to toe with Dustin, and I guess he didn't take the fight seriously. I'm pretty sure he just threw his gloves on the ground because he was extremely disappointed, and he probably is going to be able to go home for another month or so. So it was time wasted to get your ass beaten 2.5 minutes. So I'm pretty sure he was feeling pretty down, not as down as McGregor. Actually, no, he was feeling worse than McGregor because McGregor made a lot more money, and he will make a lot more money than Hooker will ever make at this point.
Well, spoiler alert: Dustin Poirier defeats Conor McGregor TKO. Yeah, there's contention online just between idiots that like to debate, was it an actual knockout because we saw Conor kind of go out for a bit and go stiff, or was it a TKO? Doesn't matter to me. Dustin Poirier did an amazing job in that fight. I counted him out. I was talking not necessarily trash, but I was just kind of saying like, oh, at least Dustin Poirier has his hot sauce to fall back on. I guess not. He has a win over Conor McGregor to fall back on. I don't think this is going to catapult him to new heights. Like, no one's really going to talk about the man who beat Conor McGregor, just the fact that Conor McGregor lost, which it kind of sucks because Dustin, he deserves it. He did amazing. He attacked the leg, which, credit to him, man. Really, like, Conor McGregor could not handle that. That's something that going forward, a lot of people are going to do on Conor. They're going to attack the leg because we've seen how well, or not not how well he reacts to it, but how poorly he reacts to it. As for Conor, though, there's a lot of debate on if he will continue to fight. I thought, you know what, the way Conor's life has been going, I think he's going to retire. But no, he said he's going to come back and he wants to be back in there, which is admirable, really. I know we've talked crap on a bunch of these fighters. It's all in good fun. For Conor, there is something to say about him, right? Like, he deserves some of the hate that he gets, but he gets a lot of unnecessary hate. I'll say this. So if he does come back, props to him. At this point, there's the stigma behind losing via TKO, right? Especially to Dustin Poirier, a guy that he's beaten before, a guy whose chin isn't necessarily considered the best. I will say Conor did look a bit off that fight. I thought he was going to look like McGregor of old, go in there, use his good movement, his amazing movement, his perfect timing, but he looked completely off. And he did mention the layoff, which it makes sense, but I don't want to put too much stock in it. Dustin Poirier just was the better fighter. Those leg kicks did amazing work. They worked over Conor, and I think we found a weakness in Conor's game beyond the grappling, as people put it. I think those leg kicks are going to be a problem. If he can address that and just get better overall, we'll see how Conor really recovers. It's going to be an interesting matchup. We might even see Conor McGregor as an underdog his next fight, depending on if it's with Oliveira or Justin Gaethje. More than likely, there's just fan talk about Tony Ferguson, which would be interesting. As for Dustin, he's really at the point where he can call his shot. You can consider him to be the uncrowned lightweight champion of the world. If Khabib's not going to come back, I really don't think he will. Uh, he can fight anybody at this point. If he doesn't want to fight Michael Chandler, he can fight Charles Oliveira, which frankly is going to be an interesting fight if they do match him up. But yeah, it's a gravy train right now for Dustin Poirier. He's got a wife with amazing attributes, and he's got a good hot sauce, and he just beat Conor McGregor, so good to him.
Yeah, I think Dustin can call shots, and I think his next fight might be the real money fight, which is Peanut Butter Mouth Diaz. I don't see why not. He deserves a payday. I think that would be the biggest fight to make for himself. Charles Oliveira, while talented guy on his way up, isn't really a big name, and I don't know. I don't know if you want to fight Gaethje. He already beat him. I'm pretty sure you can beat him again. Um, and Chandler, as good as he is, he did beat Hooker, which he already beat. So I guess in his eyes, he does have the luxury to allow these guys, kind of fight amongst themselves for the chance to fight him. Short of Khabib, he's really the guy right now. I think I don't really see Gaethje beating him, even with his new, sort of technique. I think Dustin will outbox him. Um, Oliveira, as good as he is, I think Dustin's jiu-jitsu would match up against his. So that leaves Chandler. I think Chandler is the most interesting fight, but he doesn't want to fight him. So what are you going to do? So I think the next, the logical big fight for him would be Diaz. Because they were supposed to fight a while back, and I think it would be an interesting fight, especially to have it where you have an actual crowd, not just a few people in a small venue like they did on Fight Island. And back to your point where, this fight is going to be seen as Dustin defeats McGregor, more like McGregor lost, and I think that's just partly due to not having that big arena, full of people like they did with Diaz and McGregor, because that wasn't known as McGregor lost. It was Diaz beat the hell out of McGregor. So I think that's part. I think that maybe has something to do with it. But I would really like to see Dustin get his big paycheck and fight Diaz next.
Imagine a world where Dustin Poirier fights Nate Diaz for a title, and somehow, by the grace of God, Nate Diaz wins that fight and becomes the lightweight champion of the world.
Yeah, that would be very interesting.
That would just
that,
like
that
what
would
the
suck.
fuck just happened here? Where are we?
Yeah,
Oh man,
that
that
would suck. But like I said, that would be interesting. I still think Poirier wins. I don't think Diaz's noodly arms are gonna be able to knock out Poirier. Poirier is going to come up against actual strikers, not noodly armed jabbers.
I don't know, man. Like for whatever reason, I get the feeling that if they ever match them up, it's just one of those weird matchups that Diaz is Poirier's Brunson, and he just finds a way. He just hurts him on the feet and gets the guillotine and shows him how to actually pull guard on a guillotine and finish it for once. But yeah, that's fascinating thought. But yeah, good on Dustin again. Did a great job. I, being a fan of McGregor, was disappointed. I'm sad that Conor lost, being a fan of his, but I'm really happy for Dustin that he's finally, at that spot where I don't know, he just seems like the type of guy that really worked hard for it, and he's finally getting his just dues. So I'm proud of him, being a guy that kind of followed his career in the beginning. I never saw the Fightville documentary. I just kind of started watching him when he beat the crap out of Josh Grisby, which just kind of catapulted him. His fights with Korean Zombie, probably one of my favorite fights of all time. And to see him here now beating a guy that no one thought he could beat, it's amazing. So I'm proud of the guy.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to whatever he does next. But like I said, I think his he deserves, that big money fight, and I think that big money fight is Diaz, because he could very well call out Diaz right now, and Diaz, not want to look like a little punk. He would accept that fight. He can shake his head all he wants at Dustin, but he knows who the real money fight is this time around, and that's Dustin.
Well, those are our thoughts for the card for UFC 257. Let us know if you agree with us or if you have a different take. That's been Johnny and Jose with Tiger Bomb MMA, and we'll catch you at the next fight.